How to cope with a subject you hate. School curriculums are designed to teach students a wide range of subjects to prepare them for life outside of school. Unfortunately, there will be some subjects that you will like and others that you dislike. Learning to cope with a school subject that you dislike is an important part of progressing through school. You can do this by changing your study habits and using motivational tools and incentives to change your approach to the subject you dislike. Part 1: Changing your approach to the subject you dislike. 1. Contextualize the subject. Sit down and ask yourself why you don't enjoy this particular subject. When you're able to identify and contextualize what you don't like about a subject, you can take steps to correct the issue. Ask yourself why you're having trouble with this subject or class. Is it because you don't understand a particular concept? Do you dislike the instructor or your classmates? Are you bored? If you dislike the instructor or your classmates, understand that classes do have time limits. Even if you dislike the class now, you may have a different instructor or classmates next semester or year. 2. Alleviate classroom boredom. If you are bored with the class, look for ways to enhance your understanding of the topic. You might, for example, ask the instructor for books or materials that you can read and use outside of the classroom. If you are bored in class because you already understand the material, inquire with your teacher about moving to a more advanced course on the subject. Try studying with a friend who is interested in the subject and enjoys learning about the concepts that you may struggle with. 3. Recognize the importance of the subject. School curriculums are designed to teach a broad scope of subjects, but every subject you learn is important in some way. When we identify the importance of a subject, we are more likely to devote time to learning the subject and its concepts. Look for key concepts that are important to the course to understand why it is important. For example, if you dislike English as a subject, understanding that English classes are a great way to learn communication skills and to relate to others. 4. Identify translatable skills. Translatable skills are concepts that one subject teaches that can be applied to another subject or situation. Identifying translatable skills helps you to understand how the subject fits in with the big picture. While you may not need to know the noble gases outside of chemistry class, studying chemistry will teach you how to identify reactions and to understand how substances interact with each other. This is important when you're cooking or mixing cleaning products. Translatable skills that you learn in one subject can help you to succeed in other subjects or in your everyday life. 5. Look for things that you do enjoy about the class or subject. By focusing on the positive aspects of the subject, you can change your approach to learning and studying the subject. And while great teachers can make even subjects you find dull more interesting, even if you do not enjoy the teacher's style, you can change your own perspective on the subject. For example, if you are struggling with English, look for books and papers to read and write reports on that are dedicated to subjects that you do enjoy, like history or art. Part 2: Studying a subject you dislike. 1. Create an action plan. Often, we dislike a certain subject because we struggle to learn the subject or certain key concepts. When we try to cope with disliking a subject, we can't ignore the fact that we still have to learn the subject. An action plan is essentially a plan to ensure that you will pass the course and complete all of your work. While changing your feelings about the subject may take time, you need to continue to follow the class syllabus and to complete your assigned work. Work with your instructor to create a schedule that you will follow to make up any missed work and to complete future assignments. Set a study schedule that uses incentives to positively reinforce your studying habits. Follow the study schedule and ask the instructor for outside sources to enhance your understanding of the topic, like online lectures or interesting articles. 2. Incentivize learning the subject. Incentivizing the subject goes hand in hand with identifying your motivators. When you incentivize doing tasks that you dislike, you motivate yourself to complete them. Economists argue that higher incentives lead to more effort and higher performance levels. Incentives do not need to be material or monetary. Intrinsic incentives, or incentives that come from within the student, are also motivating. An example of an intrinsic incentive would be a positive feeling you get when you receive a good grade on a paper that encourages you to work as hard on the next assignment. 3. Associate the subject with something you do like. If you're struggling to incentivize yourself to study the subject, try to draw positive associations with the subject that you dislike with something that you do like. A positive mood can help your brain to think more creatively and helps with your ability to recall facts. When you consistently incentivize yourself and motivate yourself to learn a subject you dislike, you begin to associate studying the subject with positive things you do like. For example, if you treat yourself to your favorite snack after you study your disliked subject, eventually you may associate studying with the happy feelings you get when you have your favorite food. 4. Hire a tutor. If you dislike the subject because you are struggling to learn a concept, ask the instructor for extra help or consider hiring a tutor. If your school offers tutoring services, or if there is a teaching assistant (TA) for the course, take advantage of these resources. A tutor can help to explain complicated concepts if you're having trouble grasping them and can help you work through your homework. Teaching assistants are usually found in advanced college courses. They often hold office hours where students are able to come by and ask them questions about the course material. Take advantage of this resource if it is available to you. Professors may also hold office hours for their students. Part 3. Reconsidering your learning style. 1. Identify your learning style. Your learning style refers to the ways that you learn things the best, and you can use your style to try different studying methods for the best results. Once you've identified what your learning style is, you can experiment with it. There are a number of different learning styles, and people can have different learning styles for different subjects. Work with an instructor or a school counselor to identify your learning style if you do not know what your learning style already is. If you find that you are struggling to learn the subject the way that the instructor teaches it, your learning style may be different than the way the instructor teaches. It may be difficult to completely change your learning style to adapt to the instructor's style. However, you can work around this issue by using different learning styles to approach a subject outside of the classroom. For example, if you are a verbal learner and you learn best by listening to lectures, you can use the internet to find recorded lectures on a subject that you are struggling to learn. If you are a social learner, and you learn best in groups and working with others, form a study group with other social learners to study for a particular subject. 2. Identify a motivation. When you feel motivated to learn a subject or concept, you are more likely to devote time to it. You should determine whether you are more motivated by long-term successes or if you prefer short-term gratification. If you're more motivated by long-term successes, remember that your grade in this course has an impact on your overall GPA. Your GPA will influence the higher education programs you're accepted to, internship opportunities, job opportunities, and your graduation. If you're more motivated by immediate or short-term gratification, use small items to reward yourself. For example, if you spend 1 hour studying the subject you dislike, you can reward yourself with 15 minutes of internet browsing. When you begin to feel frustrated with the subject, it is helpful to remind yourself that your success in this course will have positive consequences later on. 3. Prioritize your schedule. When we dislike a subject, it can be tempting to ignore the problem and to avoid working on the subject. Prioritize learning the subject that you dislike or are having difficulty with over subjects that come naturally to you. Always complete your homework. Homework is a great way to test your knowledge on a topic and to gauge your ability to use certain concepts. Participate in the class discussions and during lessons. Actively engaging with the subject can help you confront your dislike and to understand what concepts you are having trouble with. Tips. Ask a friend who enjoys the subject that you dislike why they enjoy it. Their answers may help you to change your perspective on the class. Ask for help. If you're struggling to learn a particular concept or are having trouble with a textbook chapter, ask your instructor for help and clarification. Warnings. Avoid skipping class, not completing assignments, or not paying attention in class. This can exacerbate the problem. Cheating on your assignments or examinations is never a good idea, and you can face severe consequences if you're caught.